Okay, I've had this application on Max Apex, and they actually host the www.superloser.io route. Basically, they own that, and I point to it, and they handle the certificate and all that. But one of the problems was I needed to get, if you don't put the www in there, how do I get to the route? And that I had to set up I had to redirect, do a redirect anytime that was hit. And so I had set that up on Amazon Lightsail. And then it came time to renew my cert, and I kind of forgot how to do that. I eventually went back to my documentation, and it wasn't very good, but I figured it out, and I got it working. And then I thought, I wonder if I could just get this working for my free tier Apex instance on Oracle Cloud, and with both www and all that. And I did, so I'm just going to show you very quickly how to do that. So if I go here, you can see reflash.io ords. This is an app on my free Oracle Cloud instance, and I've got my domain pointed there. So I'm just going to walk through the instructions. The instructions are in the notes folder of K2, and this is where I'll put anything that I sometimes need to go back to and remember, or articles. And I'm going to keep them really short and sweet. I really don't like spending a lot of time typing things up, but I want enough that I could go back and duplicate whatever I did. So this is my kind of my documentation to myself in the prettiest format that I can go with. So let's get started. This should be pretty easy. So we're going to set up a $3 a month right now Lightsail instance, the cheapest instance they have. We're just going to select an Nginx instance. So you get an AWS account, go to Lightsail. It's like pretty obvious. Create instance, select Nginx, create. And we're going to set up a Nginx reverse proxy, use Let's Encrypt to establish a vanity URL for my application. So assuming you have an AWS account, and you can read through these two links, it just give you a little bit of help on what we're about to do, but not necessary. You may go back to those if anything here doesn't work. I did this a couple times. I'm hoping I remembered the order of everything when I wrote it down. So we create a new Nginx instance. Once that comes up, you're going to go to that instance and then go to networking. Don't go to networking from wherever you see it first. Go to that instance, then networking, and somewhere at the top it's going to be like, attach a static IP. So you're going to create a static IP and attach that to your instance. So now you're going to have an IP address that doesn't change. And note, if you delete the instance, the static IP still stays there, and you can get charged for those, and there's like a limit of the number of those that you're allowed to have. So next we're going to go to Hover or whatever and set up the DNS records, which is what I was showing here. So I took my two A name records, so my A asterisk is set to that, and then ampersand, and I think one of those covers the www, and one covers everything else or something like that. So we do that, and then eventually, when I type that address in the bar, I will see the Nginx web server running. So now you're going to jump on your Lightsail instance. There's a little SSH. You can do it right from the web browser. You don't have to authenticate. If you're logged into your account, you can get right into it. And you're going to run this, which is going to install Lego. And if you look at the article, that script is basically just the same. I only added a wildcard here because I don't know what the version's actually going to be, so we just put an asterisk there, and it works. Then we're going to install the Let's Encrypt, and here I've used some variables just so you can see if you don't want it. Like if you're on Apex and they actually are hosting the route, managing the www address, you wouldn't include that one here. You would just get rid of that. But since I want both, I'm putting these both those domains in. So the email's me@foo.com. I'm doing foo.com and www.foo.com. We need to stop Nginx and start Nginx. And one issue here is if you stop, just leave it stop all services and start all services. I think sometimes there's an error in starting all services. Nginx is the only one I care about. I think this installs like PHP admin and other things on this Lightsail instance, but I don't care about those. So we're going to run this, and now we have our certificates, but they're not in the right location. So we need to move them. And here, I don't have a variable, so you need to update anything that says foo.com here. And you'll probably get an error saying that file doesn't exist or something on the server certs here. That's totally normal, and everything seems to work when that happens. So you're going to do that, and I suggest putting this in a script in your root directory, like move certs.shell, and I call this install Lego or lego.shell. I don't recall if I had to run this as sudo or not. I don't think so. I think there's already sudo commands where they're needed here. Yeah, and same here. Okay, so and now what we're going to do is edit our Nginx conf file. So that's the file. I'm just catting out my file here so you can see the whole file. I'm going to show you what I changed. It isn't much. This is pretty much the default file. There is a recommendation to increase one of the parameters, which I haven't done down here in the article here regarding max memory for something, max size of something. So that's probably a to-do. So what we've done is there'll already be a server entry. What you're going to need, and I don't remember I think all I added was the return here, I believe, on the listen 80. Everything else was there, as I recall. So we're just going to return a 301, and we're going to route any traffic on port 80 to 443, basically. And then we're going to come down to here. We're going to have our server names. We do need that there. And then this is our reverse proxy here. So this is where I've replaced my actual path. It's not foo. But this is where you're taking your Oracle Apex server name and /ords and all this and doing this. And, this is basically the only thing you need to edit here is this path. And then you need to do this for /I right there. And I think that's for images or something. I forget. If it doesn't work, this might need modification, or you might need to add something. If you start images don't appear, or something doesn't load, that remains to be seen. So I'm getting this out as soon as I've done it. I haven't run it through all its paces. And then if we go to /, I've got this, and I think I'm just borrowing that from my old file, and I think this is needed. I'm not sure. So I wish this was a lot easier to understand. I wish there was an application that just did this for me really easily. It seems like setting up a reverse proxy is such a common thing, and there should be a way of doing this that's a lot easier. So maybe that's an application you could build, a SaaS service that I'd pay, $3 a month if you could do it for sure. I'd probably pay $5, right? You could back end it with some EC2 stuff and build a UI on this. It's really easy. And then we need to restart Nginx, and then everything should work. And we should have our reflash.io now pointing to this. Now, I think that there's some sort of local DNS caching in your browser and even on your OS, and that can kind of mess up your testing. So, purge everything, delete history, clear everything out, open private window, whatever you need to do to get it tested. But once it starts working, it seems to work. So, again, I'll probably discover some things that aren't perfect with this, but hopefully if you want to get a website with a domain name up and running on the free Oracle free tier, this should work for you. I think it's for me it's a pretty easy and quick solution. So anyway, if you haven't used Amazon, it'll give you a little introduction to getting your Amazon account and starting to use, which I think is a good idea to have a Amazon account. I use it not only in my work, but I find all sorts of other things that I want to do. So that's it. Thanks.